Hey, hey, what's up, guys? What's up? How you doing? What's up? Can you hear me? Hey,
What's Can you hear me?
okay,
Hey, Can you hear me? Okay. Hey, Can you hear me? Okay.
okay. What's up, guys? What we're gonna do today? I just been reading a book called New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I hope you can see me and hear well. So, and yeah, I just had that kind of idea that probably it would be fine to share with you what I'm doing, how I'm progressed, that I'm learning, and you would just also maybe it would be easier for you to also have that momentum to start working, because if when there are some people working, you also want to keep up that pace, champions mentality, I don't know, call it as you want. And also would be for me a great way to practice my English, just because it's not my first language. It's not, yes, so I gotta practice it more, just to be more advanced in it, more, yeah, more easy to talk. So just sorry if I'm gonna make some mistakes, and maybe it's just all because of lack of vocabulary, lack of grammar. So, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to improve myself, to getting better every day. And the point of those live streams would be just, to record how I'm reading. I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, like 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, it doesn't matter. Just I want to save all that, and just like with a time frame like half a year, everyone who would be interested in it, including myself, just can turn on that live stream and just to watch it, to understand what I was doing, how I was improving myself. Also, I think that would be fine to add here some workouts. Yes, how I'm working out live, and probably that's what I'm gonna do, because once I'm gonna finish my reading that book, I also want to hit a workout. Probably I'm gonna do like 300 push-ups, and I'm gonna record the video on my YouTube channel. But also probably I will go live. So okay, that's interesting scene, and just let's try, and we'll see how would you like it. And at least I'm doing this for myself, but maybe there would be some people who will be also interested in it, like who are ready to self-improve, want to get better. So great scene. And okay, let's go. Now I'm like already I started to read it. I've been listening it for like already a few times, like 2 or 3 times I listened that um, audio book, but now I'm reading. So yes, and now I'm already on the 13th page, because that idea came into my mind while I was reading. So I'm not gonna start from the first page, but yes, 13th page, kind of like on the beginning. So okay, generally, what is that book about? Mostly about how you can be more conscious, more aware of what is going on in your life, become enlightened, more calm, and just don't react too intense on things that are going on around you. You gotta stay calm, gotta stay focused, and understand what is going on about your emotional, about your emotions, about your feelings, all that stuff. So okay, okay, let's go. The arising new consciousness. Most ancient religious and spiritual traditions share the common insight that our normal state of mind is marred by a fundamental defect. However, out of this insight into the nature of the human condition, we may call it the bad news, arises a second insight, the good news of the possibility of radical transformation of human consciousness. In Hindu teachings, and sometimes in Buddhism also, this transformation is called enlightenment. In the teachings of Jesus, it is salvation, and in Buddhism, it is the end of suffering. Liberation and awakening are other terms used to describe this transformation. The greatest achievement of humanity is not its work of art, science, or technology, but the recognition of its own dysfunction. its own madness. In the distant past, this recognition already came to a few individuals. A man called Gautama Siddhartha, who lived 2,600 years ago in India, was perhaps the first who saw it with absolute clarity. Later, the title Buddha was conferred upon him. Buddha means the awakened one. At about the same time, another of humanity's early awakened teachers emerged in China. His name was Lao Tzu. He felt a record of his teaching in the form of one of the most profound spiritual books ever written, the Tao Te Ching. To recognize one's own insanity is, of course, the rising of sanity, the beginning of healing and transcendence. A new dimension of consciousness had begun to emerge on the planet, a first tentative flowering. Those rare individuals then spoke to their contemporaries. They spoke of sin, of suffering, of delusion. They said, "Look how you live. See what you are doing, the suffering you create." Then, they then pointed to the possibility of awakening from the collective nightmare of normal human existence. They showed the way. They wasn't the world wasn't yet ready for them, and yet they were a vital and necessary part of human awakening. Inevitably, they were mostly misunderstood by their contemporaries, as well as by subsequent generations. Their teachings, although both simple and powerful, became distorted and misinterpreted in some cases, even as they were recorded in writing by their disciples. Over the centuries, many things were added that had nothing to do with the original teachings, but were a reflection of a fundamental misunderstanding. Some of the teachers were ridiculed, revealed, or killed. Others came to be worshipped as gods. Teachings that pointed the way beyond the dysfunction of the human mind, the way out of the collective insanity, were distorted and became themselves part of the insanity. And so religious, to a large extent, became divisive rather than unifying forces. Instead of bringing about an ending of violence and hatred through a realization of the fundamental oneness of all life, they brought more violence and hatred, more divisions between people as well as between different religions and even within the same religion. They became ideologies, belief systems people could identify with and so use them to enhance their false sense of self. Through them, they could make themselves right and others wrong, and those define their identify through their enemies, the others, the non-believers or wrong believers, who not infrequently they saw themselves justified in killing. Okay, doing great so far. Man made God in his own image. The eternal, the infinite, and un- unnameable was reduced to a mental idol that you had to believe in and worship as my God or our God. And yet, in spite of all the insane deeds perpetrated in the name of religion, the truth to which they point still shines at their core. It still shines, however, dimly through layers upon layers of distortion and misinterpretation. It is unlikely, however, that you will be able to perceive in there unless you have at least already had glimpses of that truth within yourself. Throughout history, there have always been rare individuals who experienced a shift in consciousness and so realized within themselves that toward which all religions point. To describe that non-conceptual truth, they then used the conceptual framework of their urban religions. Through some of those men and women, schools or movements developed within all major religions that represented not only a rediscovery but in some cases an intensification of the light of the original teaching. This is how Gnosticism and Mysticism came into existence in early and medieval Christianity. Sufism in the Islam religion, Hasib and Kabhala in, okay, there's some just words I can't really pronounce it great. Okay, talking about religions, most of these schools were icon, icon, iconoclastic. They did away with lawyers upon lawyers of dead, deadening conceptualizations and mental belief structures, and for this reason, most of them were viewed with suspicion and often hostility by the established religious hierarchies. Unlike mainstream religion, their teachings emphasize realization and inner transformation. It is those esoteric schools or movements that the major religions regain the transformative power of the original teachings. Although in most cases only a small minority of people had access to them, their numbers were never large enough to have any significant impact on the deep collective unconsciousness of the majority. Over time, some of those schools themselves became too rigidly formalized or conceptualized to remain effective. Okay, guys, there's like already three of us. Hello to everyone. Now I'm just reading a book by Eckhart Tolle called New Earth, and basically that book is about enlightening how to wake up and how to be more aware and more conscious about what is going on around you. I believe a really powerful one and a great one to read. Also, there's a really great in YouTube. You can listen to audiobook. Also, would be great. I mean, it's just for someone who interested in stuff like that, spirituality, all that stuff. Be more calm, more aware of what is going on. Have that self of control, and that's important. And already, as I told in the beginning, that uh, English is not my first language, so I can make a lot of mistakes, pronounced words not correct way. I'm just trying my best, and yeah, that's a really great way to go, I believe. Here, what I'm doing, I'm practice. I'm trying to show you that there's nothing, bad if you're trying to practice, and if you're not good at it, but you can improve yourself. So why not to try? So here, yeah, I'm just gonna read book. You can listen to me. You can maybe it will give you some motivation to also start learn something new, and to understand that while there are some people, your competitors are trying to get better and you're wasting your time, maybe you also gotta take a book, yeah, or something, and start to take action. Just do something, get better, and it will make you only stronger. Okay, we've got first like, thank you. Okay, keep going, guys. Spirituality and religion. What is the role of the established religions in the rising of the new consciousness? Many people are already aware of the difference between spirituality and religion. They realize that having a belief system, a set of thoughts that you regard as the absolute truth, doesn't make you spiritual no matter what the nature of those beliefs is. In fact, the more you make your thoughts beliefs into your identity, the more cut off you are from the spiritual dimension within yourself. Many religious people are stuck at that level. They equate truth with thought, and as they are completely identified with thought, their mind, they claim to be in sole possession of the truth in an unconscious attempt to protect their identity. They don't realize the limitations of thought. Unless you believe think exactly as they do, you are wrong in their eyes. And in the not too distant past, they would have felt justified in killing you for that, and some still do even now. The new spirituality, the transformation of consciousness, is arising to a large extent outside of the structures of the exciting institute institutionalized religions. Well, there were always pockets of spirituality even in mind-dominated religions, although the institutionalized hierarchies felt threatened by them and often tried to suppress them. A large-scale opening of spirituality outside of the religious structures is an entirely new development. In the past, this would have been inconceivable, especially in the West, the most mind dominated of all cultures, where the Christian church had virtual Frenches on spirituality. You couldn't just stand up and give a spiritual talk or publish a spiritual book unless you were sanctioned by the church. And if you weren't, they would quickly silence you. But now, even within certain churches and religions, there are signs of change. It is heartwarming, and one is grateful for even the slightest signs of opens, such as Pope John Paul II visiting a mosque as well as a synagogue, partly as a result of the spiritual teachings that have arisen outside the established religions, but also due to an influx of the anxious Eastern wisdom teachings. A growing number of followers of traditional religions are able to let go of identification with form, dogma, and rigid belief systems and discover the original depth that is hidden within their own spiritual tradition at the same time as they discover the depth within themselves. They realize that how spiritual you are has nothing to do with what you believe, but everything to do with your state of consciousness. This in turn determines how you act in the world and interact with others. Those unable to look beyond form become even more deeply inter, intercha- interneched in their beliefs, that is to say, in their mind. We are witnessing not only an unprecedented, unprecedented influx of consciousness at this time, but also an entrenchment and intensification of the ego. Some religious institution will be open to the new consciousness, others will harden their doctrinal positions and become part of all those other man-made structures through which the collective ego will defend itself and fight back. Some churches, sects, cults, or religious movements are basically collective egoic entitles as regularly identify with their mental positions as the flowers of any political ideology that is close to any alternative interpretation of reality. But the ego is destined to dissolve, and all its ossified structures, whether there be religious or other institutions, corporations, or governments, will disintegrate from within. No matter how deeply entrenched they appear to be, the most rigid structures, the most impervious to change, will collapse first. This has already happened in the case of Soviet communism. How deeply entrenched, how solid and monolithic, mono- monolithic it appeared, and yet within a few years it disintegrated from within. No one foresaw this. All were taken by surprise. There are many more such surprises in store for us. Okay, doing great. Okay, I believe like one more chapter. Yeah, a few more pages and I'm gonna finish. Just because it was, like first, I just wanted to try to see how it's going to look. Generally, let me show you what is like here. It looks just like that. Here's a table. A book I'm reading here. There's also my, you know, notebooks where I can make some notes, write down stuff. I'm reading, by the way, with a highlighter because I can highlight something that I'm like interested in. And now I'm reading New Earth, as I told you, I already listened it, but now I'm reading, just to want to read it. I believe it can also have a difference and can't hurt me. Almost finished this one, and additionally, I had listened to it already, also like 2 or 3 times, audio version. Now I just want to read it as well. Almost done with this one, and totally new for me, but I know this is really powerful one by Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. Really great one. Here's I've read around 50 or 60 pages, so probably once I finish This too, I'm gonna start with by reading Anthony book Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins. Okay guys, let's finish. Just as I told you, just wanted to try and realize how it's going to look. To be honest, it's really unusual for me now, like to talk when I'm live, because I know even though no one now is watching except me from my second account, it's still kind of tricky, and maybe I'm a little bit shy just because it's not really great when you do mistakes, all that stuff. But I know that is the only way to grow, to get better. So that's what we are doing here. And maybe by now no one interested in that stuff what I'm doing here, but with the time I believe at least someone would be interested in it, and I believe we can create that atmosphere of working, that momentum. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. And okay, let's go. And this book is kind of hard one, and if your English not your first language, it would be kind of hard you know to understand all sense, because I've been listening to it, as I told you already, for a few times, and at least I know what it says about what's inside it, so I can understand even sometimes when I faced with totally new words for me in English, because I have listened to it, I already kind of know the translation. But if you're gonna try it for the first time and you're not that great in English, I really recommend you to read it or listen to it on your like first language. But anyway, as you wish. Okay, let's keep going. As the last one chapter, the urgency of transformation. When faced with a radical crisis, when the old way of being in the world, of interacting with each other and with the realm of nature doesn't work anymore, when survival is threatened by seemingly insur- insurmountable problems, an individual life form or species will either die or become extinct or rise above the limitations of its conditions through an evolutionary leap. It's believed that the life forms on this planet first evolved in the sea when there were no animals yet to be found on land. The sea was already teeming with life. Then, at some point, one of the sea creatures must have started to venture onto dry land. It would perhaps crawl a few inches at first, then, exhausted by the enormous gravitational pull of the planet, it would return to the water, where gravity is almost non existent and where it could live with much greater ease. And then it tried again and again and again, and much later would adapt to life on land, grow feet instead of fins, develop lungs instead of gills. It seems unlikely that a species would venture into such an alien environment and undergo an evolutionary transformation unless it was compelled to do so by some crisis situation. There may have been a large sea area that got cut off from the main ocean where the water gradually receded over thousands of years, forcing fish to leave their habitat and evolve. Responding to a radical crisis that threatens our very survival, this is humanity's challenge now. The dysfunction of the egoic human mind, recognized already more than 2,500 years ago by the ancient wisdom teachers and now magnified through science and technology, is for the first time written in the survival of the planet. Until very recently, and the transformation of human consciousness, also pointed to by the ancient teachers, was no more than a possibility realized by a few rare individuals here and there, irrespective of culture or religious background. A widespread flowering of human consciousness didn't happen because it was not yet imperative. A significant portion of the Earth's population will soon recognize, if they haven't already done so, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die. A still relatively small but rapidly growing percentage of humanity is already experiencing within themselves the breakup of the old egoic mind patterns and the emergence of a new dimension of consciousness. What is arising now is not a new belief system, a new religion, spiritual ideology, or mythology. We are coming to the end not only of my mythology, but also of ideologies and belief systems. The change goes deeper than the content of your mind, deeper than your thoughts. In fact, at the heart of the new consciousness lies the transcendence of thought, the newfound ability of rising above thought, of realizing a dimension within yourself that is infinitely more vast, vast than thought. You then no longer derive your identity, your sense of who you are, from the incessant stream of thinking that in the old consciousness you take to be yourself. What a liberation to realize that the voice in my head is not who I am. Who am I then? The one who sees there. The awareness that is prior to thought, the space in which the thought or the emotion or sense perception happens. Yeah, hello. Okay, yeah, I just want to read it one more time because I believe this one is really powerful. What a liberation to realize that the voice in my head is not who I am. Who am I then? The one who sees there. The awareness that is prior to thought, the space in which the thought or the emotion or sense perception happens. Ego is no more than this identification with form, which primarily means thought forms. If evil has any reality, and it has a relatively not an absolute reality, this is also its definition. Complete identification with form, physical forms, thought forms, emotional forms. This results in a total unawareness of connectedness with the whole, my intrinsic oneness with every other as well as with the source. This forgetfulness is original sin, suffering, delusion. When this delusion of utter separateness underlies and governs whatever I think, say, and do, what kind of world do I create? To find the answer to this, observe how humans relate to each other. Read a history book or watch the news on television tonight. If the structures of the human mind remain unchanged, we will always end up recreating fundamentally the same world, the same evils, the same dysfunction. A new heaven and a new earth. The inspiration for the title of this book came from a Bible prophecy that seems more applicable now than at any other time in human history. It occurs in both the Old and the New Test- Testament and speaks of the collapse of the exciting world order and the rising of a new heaven and a new earth. We need to understand here that heaven is not a location but refers to the inner realm of consciousness. This is the esoteric meaning of the word, and this is also its meaning in the teachings of Jesus. Earth, on the other hand, is the ultimate manifestation in form, which is always a reflection of the inner. Collective human consciousness and life on our planet are intrinsically connected. A new heaven is the emergence of transformed state of human consciousness, and a new earth is its reflection in the physical realm. Since human life and human consciousness are intrinsically one with the life of the planet, as the old consciousness dissolves, they are bound to be synchro- synchronistic, geographic, and climatic natural upheavals in many parts of the planet, some of which we are already witnessing now. Okay, guys, it's like been I read only around 10 pages, not that much, but still it was like just to try for the first time. And what I'm gonna do now, just plan to hit the workout. So probably just you're gonna see the video about this one. I'm gonna record it. And yeah, plans for today just to hit my workout, shoot a few more videos for YouTube. But okay, and now I'm done with reading. And in the future, yeah, I'm gonna just try to do more videos like that. Go live when I'm doing something, when I'm learning something. Just I don't know, just to share with you and to archive it, to make it like a history from where it all begins. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. See you soon and keep going. Okay, bye. Have a great day.